You're likely watching this video because you've had some surgery that's gone wrong and you suspect medical malpractice. There are surgeons who take a close is good enough approach, and that's not good enough. You're about to hear from a couple of my clients who have had that experience.
I was playing racquetball, and I hadn't played racquetball for a few years, but a friend of my brother's challenged me to a match. So I went down there and down to Newlands, and we had a couple of real hard games, and in the middle of it I tore my Achilles tendon.
I went to the gym and suffered a total separation of the left bicep from the elbow. Went to emergency at a hospital, a local hospital, and saw a specialist, and the specialist operated on me, and during that operation he struck the radial nerve and caused my arm to shut down.
He performed the operation in the casting room without a mask, without gloves, and just a local anesthetic. And then he also asked my brother, who was in his dirty work clothes, if he wanted to stay in the cast room and watch the procedure.
He operated the first time. That's when I suffered the palsy, and then it broke, it became detached again. Went back, saw him, he operated again. Again it detached, so I had to go back. And then he wanted to take the stitches out, which has only been in about a week, and I've had more stitches in me than a football, so I know you don't take them out. And I even said this, I said, it's too early. I said, no, we're gonna take them out to see. And sure enough, when he took them out, the wound opened right up again. And so he had to stitch me up there in the cast clinic.
Well, then he bandaged it up, put a cast on it, and told me to come back in a couple weeks to see him again. And as we were leaving, my brother actually asked if I needed any kind of antibiotics, and he said no, then it's not required. So I didn't pick up any antibiotics, which I should have, because then I got an infection in it. Then it just seemed to go from bad to worse. Every time I went there, he was doing like a mini surgery, like a debridement, what's called a debridement, cutting away any dead infected tissue. And the wound just started getting bigger and deeper. I could see my Achilles tendon moving back and forth. After that fourth operation, I seen things were just getting worse and worse, and I was probably going to end up losing the leg if I didn't do something.
You trust that the specialist is just that, right? I didn't even question anything. I mean, there were certain things that happened that I was like, that seems odd, you know, but again, that's not my profession, and I don't witness that sort of thing on a daily basis, so you just assume everything's happening is how it plays out is normal.
I mean, I'd never had any real major surgery done up until that point, right, in my life, so I figured, well, he's a professional, he must know what he's doing, right?
When I suffered the palsy, I honestly thought my life was over. Like, I envisioned sitting behind a desk somewhere, and that's just not me. A military career ended, like, it was pretty traumatic. Don informed me, like, you know, you were done. You were, you know, this is negligence, and, you know, you have a strong case, and that really made a difference for me, you know, in accepting that there's a possibility that I'll never police again, or I'll never be in the military again. That gave me some comfort. When they settled for a considerable amount of money, and which I think is appropriate, it changed pretty much my life. You know, paid my house off, I own my house, I have a truck, I have my dream motorcycle, and I've put a whole ton of money away for the future. I've got 2 boys, like, it's huge.
It puts a new perspective on life, you know, people take their health for granted, right, until something like this happens. And so you think, well, it's never going to happen to you, right, but when it does, it's a real eye-opener.
I strongly recommend, if you think anything might be wrong, or you think that didn't feel right, at least seek some sort of legal counsel.
If you or a loved one has had surgery go wrong, you should have your case investigated through a lawyer's office. It's the only way to get to the bottom of what's really taken place. The compensation you may be entitled to will go a long way to supporting yourself and your family through the rest of your life.